Okay, thank you everyone for coming and welcome. So we'll just get started with our presentation here. So today we're obviously doing the Courses app introduction into Folio's Courses app, and I'm Danielle Noble. I'm also here with Kelly Roll and Chong Wang, who did a lot of work on this presentation too. They made a lot of the slides and did a lot of the research and are very much helping me present. So a big thank you to both of them for all their help with this. And Laszlo too, he's always a big help. This is just my general reminder to be patient with your trainers and yourself because we're all still learning this. I know we've said it lots of times, but it is really important to remember we're all getting the hang of this. So be patient and kind with yourselves and others. So today we're just going to go over the Courses app. So in Folio, this is what we use to create and manage our course reserves. We're just going to give you a really quick overview into how it works and how to use it to create course reserves. So hopefully by the end of today, you're going to know how to create a course. You're going to know how to create departments in the Courses app, how to add instructors, how to add a reserve item. We're also going to go over fast add and just the real basics of electronic reserves. And then how to cross-list a course and de-reserving bulk edits and bulk editing. So just as a quick introduction into the Courses app, when you go into the Courses app, there's actually two filters tabs. So there's the Courses tab and the Reserves tab. So under the Courses tab, you can search for what courses we have. So like English 101, and you can use different fields in which to search for them. We have department, we have course type, term, location. You can use any of those to filter down and help you locate your course that you're looking for. And then the other tab is the Reserve tab. This actually helps you find the items that we have on reserve. So for this particular item, we did a search for it, and its permanent location is Green Stacks, and its temporary location is Green Reserve. So we could use either of those under the drop-down menu to locate this item. We could also search for it by title, barcode, or call number. So those are kind of the search filters that you have in the Courses app under the initial tabs. So in order to create a course department in Folio, you actually have to go out of the Courses app to the settings. And then from settings, you just go to courses and then to the course department. And then you hit new plus. And from there, you can either add a new department if your department doesn't exist, or you can come here and click the pencil to edit current course. So if you had an anthropology class, let's say you want to make it anthropology and art, hit edit and you would add anthropology and art. Or if you wanted to delete it, you could just hit the trash can and then you delete that courses item. Okay. So that's just a quick introduction into the Courses app. So I'm going to now pass it over to Chong so that she can introduce you to how to create a course. Okay, Chong? Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and go over how to create a new course using the Courses app. Before we delve into the live demo, I am going to go ahead and briefly cover how to create a new course, add an instructor, add items, and all the other jazz that comes with it. So in this presentation, you do want to go ahead and locate the Courses app in the banner menu, and then it's going to bring you to the course list. To create a new course, you would click on Action and then click on New. So this is just going to be a really brief overview, and then we'll go right into the live demo. And then once you come across to the Create Course window, you're going to go ahead and fill in the basic course information, such as the course name, department, and course code. You can find the course name in the emailed reserve form, the request form in reserve.stanford.edu, or on the Stanford Course Explorer. After filling out the basic course information, you're going to go ahead and go to the course listing information and select the term and the location. Now, do keep in mind that your location and term is going to differ from ours, just depending on your local library. And then the next thing, once you've created the course, you're going to go ahead and add the instructor. So the instructor is going to also be in the course information. What you want to do is just kind of scroll down to the instructor accordion and add the instructor that way. There are 3 ways on adding an instructor to the list. You can use the lookup user by inserting the name when you're looking up the user, or you can look up the user with their barcode. And if the user does not have a user folio account, you can add their name to the course list. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is just pivot from the presentation, and I'm just going to go ahead and you can watch me as I walk through the process. So I have the Courses app in the banner. Now, do keep in mind, not everyone's going to have access to the Courses app. There are only a selected few that will have access to this. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Courses app. And then I'm going to go ahead and the first thing I'm going to do while it's loading up is I'm just going to do a quick search to make sure that the class does not already exist. If you do happen to build the class twice, what it's going to do is it's going to cross-list to the primary course because they share the same, the same exact course name, course code, and department. So I'm just going to Control F. This is my quick find on trying to find a course. And as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and insert English 190S. So I don't have English 190S already built. I'm going to go ahead and go to the action button, click on New, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in the basic course information. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the course name, select the department. So this is English. And I have the information onto a note on the side. It's always kind of good to have that information on hand. So one thing I do want to note to everyone that you do want to make sure when you're inserting the course code into the basic course information is that the section number is attached to the course code. It is especially critical to use this specific course code format so user will have less difficulty finding their course in SearchWorks. And then you would just leave your section and your number of students blank. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to the course listing information and select the term. So I'm going to go ahead and do Summer Test 2023 and the select green reserve for my location. The location is going to go ahead and differ for each library because you want it set to your specific library. And I'm going to save and close. So once you save and close, it's going to close that window and bring you back to the course list information. And from there, you can go ahead and find the course using the search filter here. Click on the course, and then the next thing we're going to do is add an instructor. So what you want to do is click on the add button, click on lookup user, and I'm going to go ahead and insert in my instructor's name here. I'm going to select my instructor, and then I'm going to save and close. By saving and close, that's going to save that instructor's information to the instructors list. The next thing I'm going to do now is add another instructor. So we have 2 instructors for this class. And this is going to be a kind of a good example. So if I look up this instructor, you can see there's 0 user results found. So this means that this particular instructor, Julia Caesars, does not have a user account in Folio. So what you want to do then is you can insert their name here in the text box, save and close. And now you have 2 instructors on the list, one that has a user account in Folio and one that does not. But do keep in mind that usually at the beginning of the quarter, instructors who don't have a user account their account should, by the beginning of the quarter, will have their account uploaded to Folio. So you do want to update it to the one that's active and then subsequently delete the non-active one. And you can tell the difference between both because one has a barcode and the other one doesn't. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm just going to scroll over to items and I'm going to add an item to my list. So what you'll do is you'll scan your book here and then click add item. Now it is especially important to note that you do want to make sure you have the item on hand before you add it to the list. And the reason why is once you add the item to the course list, the permanent location will change to the temporary location. So once I've added this book to the list, the location is no longer green reserve, but will be green stacks, but will be green reserve. The only difference is that because I haven't changed the temporary loan type, it still has a standard circulation rules. So if you're putting an item on course reserve, remember that you need to go back to the item and change the temporary loan type. You have to do this for each individual item. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the edit item, and I'm going to change the temporary loan type to 2 hours and save and close. And so essentially what you're doing is you're adding in that loan type to the item. All right, so the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to hand this off to Danielle, who's going to go ahead and cover the next portion of the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Chop. Let me just share my screen here, and we will go over how to create a fast ad. Okay. So in Folio, they don't have a brief records. Instead of brief records, what we have is fast ad. So we use fast ad in course reserves when we're adding an item that's not owned by the library. So typically it is an instructor's copy, maybe an instructor's DVD they want the whole class to see, an instructor's textbook that they want the class to be able to use or be held, or a particular reading that they want them to do. So this is what we would use fast ad for. So if you scroll down within your course, so if you click on like English 101 and scroll down to the right-hand corner, you're going to see add new fast ad item. So you click on that, and then it's going to open up and it's going to allow you to create a brief record. So there are several accordions under that brief record. We're going to start with instance. So under the instance, you would fill the instance status term as uncatalogued, and then you would put in the resource title. In this case, we're using the Science of Superheroes, but whatever the title is of the item you're adding. And then if it's a print resource, then you would use resource type text. In this case, we also added the publication information, whatever you think would help the students identify that the item on reserve is the item that they're looking for. Okay, and then we would go to the holding section. So here at Green, we use Green Instructor as our permanent location. Different branches and different libraries are going to have different permanent location, different temporary location. Our temporary location is also Green Reserve. And then we here at Green also use a different call number scheme for our gRPC. So we would check other scheme for the call number type. And then we fill in our call numbers using our gRPC barcode generators. And Chong will put in the drop into the chat a link that'll show you how to generate your own barcodes. I'll show you right now how we create a fast ad. I'm just going to do a little live demo for you. So I'm going to come over here to the courses app, and I put in our little test one. So this is our test English 101 course. I'm going to scroll down and you'll see in that right-hand corner is that fast ad. Click fast ad, change the instance status term to uncatalogued. And of course, we want this uncatalogued because we're not cataloging this item. And then put in our title. Let's do sea turtles, everything you want to know about whatever your title is. In this case, I'm going to put in a publication date of 2023. You can fill out the ISBN or the ISSN if you want to. They're not required. And then I'm going to say this is a print resource, so we're going to go ahead and put in text. And then I'm going to scroll down to the next accordion field, which is holdings, and I'm going to put in our permanent location of Green Instructor. Instructor, and then our temporary location of Green Reserves. Okay, our call number type is other scheme. And then I'll just show you here at Green, we use, like I said, our own spreadsheet that we have that is generated for them. So in here, we come to our ETA spreadsheet. Oh, sorry, just got to give it a minute to load. And we have, sorry, not our ETA, our gRPC. And we have auto-generated our own barcodes. I'll bring over our barcode. Okay, barcode, and then our material type over here, in this case, it's gonna be book. And then permanent loan type, and you'd select whatever the professor has wanted this put on. In this case, we'll do 2-day reserves. So sorry. And then if you had any staff notes, you would add it here. Like if you wanted to pop up to check out, hey, this is a course reserve. Please return to the green course reserve shelf or something. You can put it here. In this case, we're going to delete it if you don't need it. And we'll hit save and close. So sorry, I forgot about the item tab. And then there's the green tab toast at the bottom for the inventory record. And then your fast ad is created. And if you come back to your course and scroll down, you're gonna see your new GRPC is about sea turtles is there with the temporary location of green reserves. Okay. And I'm gonna pass it back now for Chong. Thank you, Chong. Sorry about forgetting the last section.
You're
And then
fine.
she's gonna go over e-reserves.
All right. So similarly to fast ads, for personal copies, we also use fast ad to put electronic reserves on reserve. So one of the things that you'll notice that's going to be different with Folio versus workflows is that there are no barcodes for electronic items. So because of that, we'll need to create a fast ad record for them to put them on reserve. And what you want to do is, click on the fast ad, and then you're going to go ahead and create or add an electronic access to the resource and save and close. So for the relationship type, we're going to go ahead and select resource. And then we're going to go ahead and insert the URI link, which can be found in the instance underneath electronic access. And then after that, you're going to save and close. You can fill in the URL public note. This is if there's any restrictions on the electronic resources, such as it's limited to just one user at a time and so forth. You can put that here, and then this will appear on the discovery layer, and then you'll save and close. So we're going to go ahead and, similarly to how Danielle showed you how to create a fast ad, we're going to demonstrate on how to add an electronic resource to the item. I do want to note that when you're creating an electronic resource, that it's really nice to have two folios tab open. When you're creating a fast ad, it's going to be a little bit difficult to navigate away from this window, because it's going to go ahead and prompt you to, it's going to take a while to load, but it's going to prompt you to save or either close without saving before you can go into use any other apps. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is just fill out the instance and holding before I get to the electronic resource. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom through this a little quickly. If it's too quick, you guys can go ahead and just interrupt me. I'm going to go ahead and leave the ISBN and ISN blank. It's not necessary right now for the electronic resource that I'm putting on reserve. I'm going to go ahead and select text and then select uncatalog for instance status term. I'm going to head over to the holdings, and select green instructor. And then temporary location, I'm going to go ahead and select green reserve. I do want to note that it's not necessary to select something for temporary location if you're building this in using the course app, because it's going to be linked directly to the course that you're building it to. It's going to inherit that temporary location. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is go other scheme for call number type. And then I'm going to go ahead and just head over to our spreadsheet here, our course reserve spreadsheet, and locate our e-resource IDs for e-resource. So I have a call number here. So for all of our electronic resources here at Green, we're going to go ahead and just put in an internet resource for the call number, just for the sake of finding the item, the ease of finding the item easier if we ever need to update the information or have, metadata delete the item or withdraw the item from the folio. Next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is input a barcode. So when you're creating a fast ad, whether if it's personal copy or electronic copies, you want to make sure you have a barcode for the item, especially if it's a personal item and you physically have it on hand. If you don't have a barcode, you will not be able to check it out. So I'm going to go ahead and go back over here and copy the barcodes that we've generated with our spreadsheet. I want to thank Laszlo for sharing the link to us. We use that link to create it, and it's very easy. You can do it both on Excel and Google Sheet. Even though it's just for Excel, you can use Google Sheet if you're familiar with that. Same procedures. Okay, enough of that advertising. I'm going to go ahead and just paste the barcode here. And then because this is an electronic resource and we don't have the physical book, I'm going to select electronic resource. As you can see, I've already used that barcode. And then I'm going to go ahead and select course reserve for permanent loan type because it's an electronic resource and we can't really control the loan period. I'm going to just put course reserve. And then I'm going to delete the note type because I don't physically have the item. So we're never going to be checking this item in. And the next thing we're going to do is add the electronic access. So I'm going to go ahead and right now I'm just going to click on add access. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to navigate to my other folio window, and I'm going to use the inventory app to find the book. Because one of the things is you want to make sure that you have the URI for it, and you'll find the URI through the inventory app. So I'm going to select item, insert the title that I have here, search for it. And then it's going to bring up the instance here, and you can find the electronic access by just, scrolling down the title in the instance, and you're just going to locate the electronic access, and the link will be located here. If you right click on it, you can copy the link address. And I'm going to go ahead and go back over here, select resource for the relationship type, and insert the URI here. All the other ones, it's not necessary. You don't have to fill it out. Because I don't believe there's any restriction on this particular one, I'm just going to leave the URL public note blank, and I'm going to save and close. And you know that you successfully added the e-resource once you've received the green toast. Okay, and then on the next presentation, we're going to go ahead and go over creating course reserve. Let me just go ahead and bring that slide back up. So creating a cross listing is kind of similar to creating a new course in Folio. The only difference is that you're going to go ahead and look for your primary course and then create the cross list in the primary course. So what I'm going to do is just pivot from here a little bit. We're going to go ahead and look for our English here. So what I want to do is I'm just going to Control F, find the English. And if that doesn't work, we'll go over here. So we're going to go ahead and cross list by clicking on the action button here and then select cross list. The basic course information is pretty much exactly like when you're creating a new course. And then anything in the cross listing information, it's going to inherit that information from the primary course. So you don't have to fill this out. But I'm going to go ahead and put in, the information I have here. Just copy and paste it. So we have this, and this is going to be English also. English. And then the cross listing that I'm going to go ahead and insert is 290S. And then once you're done, save and close. And then now you have it cross-listed to English 290. It's going to appear right below the primary course. And that's how you cross-list. The next presentation, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Kelly. Kelly's going to go over de-reserving and bulk edits.
Not everyone will have access to bulk edit, though most of the reserve staff, if you don't already, should have it. And bulk edit I actually really like it. It's one of the easier, more understandable things for me in Folio. So in theory, if you have the permissions, you will see something called bulk edit. And the important thing to remember when using bulk edit is that you need to have a list of barcodes saved in Excel CSV, comma delimited. So, and in the slides, there's a link to the complete documentation that was shown in an earlier session. So you go to bulk edit, you want to use inventory items. The record identifier in this case is item barcode. I'm going to choose my file. And open it up. And you'll see it starting to upload something. Oh, hang on. There's a nasty habit. Excel CSV is in terms of changing the numbers to general. So let me fix that real quick. Okay. Let me try it again. So I have to do new bulk edit. So inventory items, item barcode. Should be this one. Fingers crossed this time. Okay, it looks like it's going to hopefully behave this time. So I open it. It starts its upload. Yay. Okay. So you will see that I have an effective location of several different locations. So we're going to ignore the ones that are already in stacks because we don't need to worry about those, but we do need to take the ones that are on reserve off of reserve. So you're going to go to actions. You're going to start bulk edit. And here you're going to do select option. And I want to get rid of the temporary item location. So I'm going to do temporary item location and select action, clear field. And then down at the bottom here, you have to click on confirm changes. And then it's like, are you sure that you want to commit changes? And so you say yes. Okay, and you could see that 3 of them were already fine from earlier. Those were the Sal 3 and the green stacks. But the 2 that were on reserve, it now says that they're in education stacks, education curriculum. But I still have to go over here and get rid of the temporary loan type. So I can do that. I'm going to do a new bulk edit, inventory items, item barcode. I'm going to go back and get my same spreadsheet, which will hopefully behave. Okay, and so you see I have 2 that need to get rid of that 2-hour reserve. So I'm going to do actions, start bulk edit. And now I want to get rid of the temporary loan type. So I'm going to say temporary loan type, clear field. Commit to changes, yes. And now you can see that that temporary loan type is gone for the 2 that were on reserve. And by the way, because I had been playing with these earlier, it didn't do anything to these 3 down here. So these are fine. They weren't on reserve. It did nothing to their record. So that is bulk edit. And I'm now going to stop sharing my screen and give it back to Danielle and Chong.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I appreciate it. Okay, so that is our presentation. And we just kind of are going to go over whatever questions you have and whatever else might be on your mind. So just let us know if anybody has questions or if you want us to go over any part of it. If there were things that you were still uncertain about, we can go through those. Basically, just whatever You need, yes, Kelly, what's your question?
So I was thinking as you guys were demoing course cross-listing, not infrequently, science, engineering, and education all vie for a book called The ABCs of How We Learn, and all in the same quarter. So I am wondering if we could put 2 copies on Eng, 1 on science and 1 in education, and still cross-list.
Yes, I believe so. If we have multiple copies, we should be able to cross-list each of those copies to a location, but I do think it defaults, and correct me, Laszlo or Chong, if I'm wrong, to the whatever the, when you put that item on the first location that in that course is where it defaults to. So I think you're going to have to change it, go in and physically change it to a different library if you need it to. Is that correct? Let me know if I'm wrong.
That's what I recall. Yeah, it's the first course that's listed becomes the primary location.
But it is able to edit for the other. I haven't tried this, for multiple branches yet. He's just done green reserves, but I believe it does work for different locations.
I have the question. Course reserve, if we have the same book and print book title and also electronic title, the both under the same title. But when they show the course reserved module on the same class, they will show the 2 books, right? One is under the electronic, one is under the print title. Is correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So it's gonna show 2 of them like they're 2 items. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And I think I saw one other hand raised. Feel free to go ahead and ask your question. I think it was Kevin. Was it Kevin?
It was me, Vincent.
Sorry, Vincent.
It's okay. I don't know this question should be asked over here. I was trying cat key to locate the item in the inventory so that I will be able to easily port over. That's how I usually do. But for the internet resources, when we add the internet resources, that's what I'm talking about. But it seems like I can locate it with the cat key. And when we add I saw you when you add the internet resources, you generated your own barcode. But in the record on 999 fill, that's a barcode over there. Would you advise to use that if I'm going to use that?
I would advise creating your own separate barcode just because you're creating, it's like creating a brief record. So you want it to go directly to that record. I don't know. I think it will allow us to have the same barcode, but that is one way to kind of help differentiate between the 2 so that you know that this is the course reserve item on reserve. For us, I think that is the best practice. And that's what I would recommend for you to do as well.
Thank you.
And Danielle, can you show them very quickly how to search inventory by cat key?
Yeah, yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot about that question. So we went over this in the inventory app, but training as well, but I'll just show you just a really quick kind of demonstration of how this works. So one of the things that I think that they did was go through holdings, and then, if you have a cat key, I'm going to stop sharing 1 second. I'm just going to grab a cat key. I don't have. Okay, so you come to the holdings, you hit HRID, you put A, asterisk A, and then hit search. So here, I'll just show you. I'll just retype it so you can see search, and it brings up that particular item in that way. So you'll be able to find the electronic reserve that way using the HR ID, just like we would use the cat code to search now. Instead of the brackets, we would use asterisks and return it that way. Does that answer your question about how to find them that way?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was just missing the A.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
gotcha.
right. No, it's sort of like how we do a title search versus the cat key. At least that's how I always did it with the title control number instead of cat key. It's a little closer to that, or at least that may be more how I do it. There's other ways as well, and I know that Laszlo went over a whole training on this. So if you go back to the inventory app, he went through great ways to do it. Okay, any other questions?
Nathan, you had your hands up earlier. Do you have a question?
Doing e-resources,
Uh-huh.
like we're not going to have Folio suddenly be like, you can only have this for 2 hours, right? Like that's not going to be like an option when you're filling out the record.
Yes, you can't really, unfortunately, sorry, I'm typing and talking. You can't really set a particular loan type for.
No, I just wanted to make sure like that
yeah.
wasn't going to be a problem.
Yeah, no, that's not going to be a problem. Good question though, Nathan. Anyone else? In chat, someone was just asking about how you reserve something without using bulk edit. So without using bulk edit, you'd have to just change those temporary locations back to the permanent location, and you'd want to suppress the record. Now we can't delete e-reserves once they're created. It's like creating a brief record and it can't be deleted. But what we can do is suppress it from SearchWorks. There is a little area in the record that allows you to click suppress. So it's a little check button, just like shadow was. If you have your shadow records in workflows, it's similar to that. You would suppress it, so then it is no longer visible. All right.
Just one point on suppressing the record. That should not be done by staff. It should go to data control.
And that is correct. Yes, that's a very good point, Kelly. Thank you. Yes, we shouldn't be randomly suppressing records. Is there any other questions?
We have one question, not through the chat, but through a different form. And I hopefully they're okay with me asking this question because I feel like some of the staff here might have a better answer for it. Is there a way to make changes that wouldn't affect the course on cross list? Do you have to add 2 of the same courses if they have different requirement under a different department? So I think it's a little weird to say. It's kind of similar to, well, it's not similar to workflows, but you don't, any changes you make to the primary is going to affect the cross listing. And if you want to have it where they have different requirements, then you'll want to go ahead and split them up. So you want to create 2 separate courses for them, and instead of cross-listing them. You could, essentially what you do is if they all share the same materials, but is just add the materials to 2 different courses. And what it'll do is the initial course that was placed on reserve, it'll just take on those rules and requirements. I don't know if that answered your questions, but hopefully that we'll kind of like maybe get a better answers later.
Thank you, Chong. I think that is a very good answer in that. So what I would say as well, yeah, so you just have to make, unfortunately, yeah, multiple courses. Is there anyone else who has any questions that we could answer and go over, or anything else that you need us to show that we didn't already go over? Oh, Amy, I just saw your hand. Do you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, hi. I have a question regarding e-reserves. Is the current plan for libraries to offer e-reserves for fall quarter? I thought there had been a decision made around holding off on fall quarter. Is this the current plan?
Yeah. So far, yes, we met as a group for Soul course reserves, and so far we've decided that for fall quarter at least, that we would hold off on course reserve, but we wanted to show everyone how to do it so that if we decide when we come back to revisit it to do course reserve, then everyone knew how. And we were hoping to keep it consistent so that the staff, you know, who are already learning folio aren't, you know, kind of overburdened with needing to remember different procedures for different libraries, you know, like, oh yes, I have to look here for green reserves, I have to look here for education reserves, and so on and so forth. So yeah, as far as I know, right now, everything has stayed the same with that. So we are going to
Okay, thanks.
reserve this fall.
I just wanted to confirm. Okay, thank you.
That's always a good idea. Thank you, Kelly, for confirming.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Amy. Sorry, I asked Danielle to include it for that reason as a reference, because if we do have to come back in 6 months or a year, we'll have this to fall back on to explain to folks how to do it. So.
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea. You know, it's a good idea for everyone to know how. And then, you know, if we come across, we have a lot of problems not doing e-reserves, or it causes a lot of confusion or whatever, then we can look at this, know how to do it, and start implementing it. All right, does anyone else have anything that they want us to go over? Hopefully we've learned a little bit. And we haven't done too poor of a job here for you. Give you guys a minute.
I'm just going to go ahead and throw in a comment. I don't know, we didn't really emphasize on this, but when you are de-reserving an item from a course list, you want to make sure that you change the temporary loan type. If you do the bulk edit, it's going to remove it off. But if you're de-reserving that one individual item because the instructor no longer needs it on reserve, you need to make sure you change the temporary loan type to can circulate before deleting it off of the course list, because it's going to continue to have the temporary loan type if you do not remove it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And that's it.
That's a good point. It's the same thing with the departments, right? Like once you add them on there, they're on that list. You can delete them out, but just remember, same with terms. You know, we don't want to go in. Only some people have this ability, but we don't want to go in and make 40 different terms for fall, or make departments that don't exist. We are taking them from Stanford Explorer, and so those are sort of set the way we want to. So just make sure that when you're creating them, that you searched and make sure that department isn't already there before you add another one, because we don't want to create duplicate departments. So thank you, Chong, so much for adding that. That's a really good point, and I just wanted to throw that reminder in as well. Anything else for anybody else? And Laszlo put the link to documentation in the chat. Thank you so much, Laszlo, for doing that. So you guys can look over that and review it too, and watch this back for any other questions. But I'll give us just like one more minute in case there are more things we need to go over or more questions. And then you guys will get back a little bit of your time, maybe. I thought there'd be far more questions. We must have done a very good job. I really appreciate you all coming in, and I hope that we have answered everything that you need. And I hope that you guys are all feeling comfortable with your things. Laszlo, did you have a question? Okay, all right. I saw your hand was raised. So I hope that going forward with Folio, this is going to be a good process for us. I think it is a little more user-friendly than workflows was as far as the reserve end. So I think this is going to help us a lot, and we're going to have a little bit less stress when creating our course reserves in those first few weeks when we get all the reserves in. So thank you again for all coming. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, to Kelly, to Chong. We'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you all, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, very much for your help. And Laszlo, always for your help. All right. Have a great day, everyone.